was also known as the Soviets' Vietnam. That's why we didn't come here by land, because the border was closed. The TB is bored. They're literally bored, especially the younger ones. Salam alaikum.
This is the city of Kabul, the Afghan capital today.
And they have old, rusty Soviet equipment. I wasn't thinking I would see that. And right over there, it's a Taliban checkpost. And we had a small flat tire issue here. Salam alaikum. So we were up there. So prepare your flexibility a little bit. Nikki do céu. Tarp, kind of a tarp from the United Nations Refugee Agents. This government to the people of Afghanistan. And welcome to another video from Out of Your Comfort Zone. My name is Rodrigo.
And I'm Nikki.
And we are not in Afghanistan. We are actually in Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, at the memorial Martyrs of Martyrs, to the soldiers who fought and died during the Second World War, which here and everywhere around the ex-Soviet Union is called the Great Patriotic War. And why we are here and not in Afghanistan? Because we already been to Afghanistan for 2 weeks. It was absolutely amazing, but we needed about a couple of days here after we crossed by land to Tajikistan to decompress and rethink everything we saw in Afghanistan to be able to give you a better introduction to our videos.
It was a very intense experience.
Very intense experience. But the difference from my videos, I believe, is that I'm a geopolitical analyst. So everything you're gonna see and explore together with us around Afghanistan is gonna have a lot of geopolitical analysis, context, history, recent history from just before the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, after the invasion, the civil war, then the September 11th terrorist attacks in New York, the American invasion with the international coalition, the fall of Kabul, and then today, how is Afghanistan? Talk about the women's rights, talk about the security, which improved tremendously, some pros and cons, not everything black and white, but with context, with nuance.
Nothing is black and white in Afghanistan.
Absolutely. So I don't know exactly to which video you clicked to watch, because you're using this introduction to almost every single video we have about Afghanistan. We're gonna learn more about the graveyard of empires. The Brits tried, the Soviets tried, the Americans tried, and they all failed to occupy and tame Afghanistan. It was also known as the Soviets' Vietnam, because as the Americans in Vietnam, the Soviet Union invaded, occupied Afghanistan, but it wasn't able to stay. It was kicked out, invited to leave Afghanistan, the same way the Americans failed in Vietnam. I hope you enjoy. Good morning, everyone. Another day here in Kabul, and today we are going to Bamyan, which is another area, there's also a town. It's about 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours,
4 to 5 hours.
4 hours.
Almost. It took us a while. We got there though.
4 hours outside of Kabul. And that's where the Buddhists were engraved in the mountains, and the Taliban exploded the Buddhas just before the September 11th terrorist attacks. So we can talk a little bit more about that when we are there. See a massive bulletproof car. So those are the many vehicles that belong to the international coalition here in Afghanistan. And then when Kabul fell, like they literally abandoned literally billions of dollars in equipment. And a lot of these SUVs, bulletproofs and everything, then the Taliban took everything. I can easily recognize a bulletproof car because in São Paulo, where I'm originally from, Brazil, it's the city with more bulletproof cars in the world.
Yeah. I've also
crazy.
learned how to recognize that after just going so many times.
This one is very easy. You can see the window is kind of weird. It has some black stuff on it. It's
Yeah, that one's easy.
very easy to recognize. Some are a little more discreet, but you still can tell. You think we overload trucks in Brazil or in your country? How that doesn't flip? The outskirts here of Kabul, they have all the grass here for the animals, like huge piles, and they sell here. Still, you can tell, quite polluted. Stopping traffic. Big military base over there used to belong to the Americans. That's on the outskirts of Kabul. All these trucks waiting here is because the borders are closed between Afghanistan and Pakistan, because the flare-up there was between the two countries, terrorist attacks and retaliation at the border. So they have to go all the way through Iran, and it's like a huge way. That's why we didn't come here by land, because the border was closed, so we had to fly Islamabad. That doesn't look that safe. Talk about overloading. Rest of Soviet armored personnel carriers. You see they're working on the roads over there? And the road here seems quite new. Something I noticed, there's been a lot of construction around here, around Kabul, around the surroundings here. The driving is a little bit crazy. I want to see like if the outskirts the same thing or other towns, other parts, a lot of construction. It's interesting where the money is coming from. This is like a toll here on a road getting out of Kabul because they're building the road here, so they say this money that we are paying is for the road. And they even give you a receipt here. It's pretty cool. It's organized. So you can prove that in the next checkpoint that you pay that. How many bases, like observation points or foreign operation bases they had around here. This used to be a big US base here. I can see a lot of equipment, yeah. Forgot to mention that I'm wearing the traditional clothes here. The shalwar kameez.
Which is the same from Pakistan.
Yeah, I bought this one in Pakistan. It's essentially the same. Like little jacket, because I'm wearing hoodie now. The traditional hat, one of those. And I look like my face is very generic, so I can easily pass by Afghani. Nikki, not so much.
No.
Just a small detail, contrary to the West, people here don't freak out when you wear their clothes. They don't think it's like a cultural appropriation. They think it's cool that you're honoring their culture, their tradition. So a very different mentality, mindset. There's part to blend in and part like they're gonna like. Yesterday in the market, I was wearing like Western clothes, and some people were looking a little bit like so blending, and they like it. Two things you observe, and I already am showing you, a lot of military bases on the outskirts of Kabul. Why? Because obviously coalition with the ANA, the Afghan National Army, they had several layers of defense, trying to defend the capital, so to checkpoints and everything. Some of them were taken by the TB, and most of them are just abandoned. And we see with some of the vehicles, like they're just abandoned there. It doesn't worth to keep maintaining the vehicles and everything. But other thing, just went through like a very thorough checkpoint and taking pictures of everything and the car and everything.
Our guide's ID,
everything. And then I asked like, well, why did they stop us? And did they stop everyone? Because Nikki. They saw Nikki and say, oh, foreigner, let's stop them. And then I asked, oh, can we swap? So I'm on that side, they might not see us and everything. And me, I can be like, look how I'm dressed. He said, no, actually, it's for our protection of the checkpoint. Because the Taliban wants to know where the tourists are, and they actually can protect us because they want more tourists here. So it would be pretty bad if something happened to us. A lot of tourists would stop coming. So they want to be like everything that goes smoothly during our trip.
Safety is priority, I guess.
Exactly. The manager from the hostel told us as well. But if you have any problems, call the Taliban. That's what their recommendation. Call the Taliban, because if you're not doing anything wrong and we have any trouble, like they can actually help us. Unless we do something wrong, then obviously don't call them. He was mentioning that a lot of the roads here, they are kind of damaged. Other parts are pretty good, because in this area here, there was a lot of fighting between the TB and the Americans or the coalition. So there were a lot of IEDs, improvised explosive devices. So they would explode the road when the Americans or the coalition was passing by. And people just, after the explosion happened, everything left to rescue everyone. The locals would come and just like tap dirt back on the road. But yeah, it's not like perfect, but you can tell because it's non-stop like that. There's a lot of checkpoints non-stop. We say that in Brazil, it's like a job maker, something like that. It's like when the government uses its power to give employment to a lot of people just for the sake, just to get support and everything. And what I heard is like the TB is bored. They're literally bored, especially the younger ones, because they were fighting against the Americans, the coalition, international coalition, super exciting and everything. But now there's no more combats, there's no more war. So they have nothing to do. Like from a exciting life, now they're just sitting around guarding some places, so they don't get that too bored, but they seem very bored, all of them, because there's nothing else, no more combat. And remember, ISIS-K was fighting the Taliban here, but now apparently they just vanished. They weren't destroyed, they didn't surrender, they just vanished. So there's no more fighting essentially. So there's not much for them to do right now besides all the administrative things of governing a country, right? So in this cemetery they have people who got killed from the Taliban, the Afghan National Army and the civilians. A água estava congelada dos lugares, então a gente não podia lavar a mão no banheiro, porque congelou. The little girls, one of them, the younger one, had a very blue light eyes, really beautiful. Remind me of an icon picture of the 20th century. I'm gonna put here for you from the National Geographic. I don't know if they was taken while during the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan or just after, but there's this woman with this super colorful eyes.
I've seen it before, I'm sure I recognize
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna recognize. I'm gonna add it here. So interesting. There's a lot of people with very beautiful eyes here. This is the apple region here. A lot of apples. You see the backpack there? See another one from UNICEF.
Yeah, we see a lot of them.
Those backpacks that the kids were carrying was from UNICEF, the United Nations Agency for Children and Education. People say, the United Nations useless, doesn't work for anything, like whatever, just waste of money. Yes, I'm sure that they can be more efficient with the money. But if you're from a rich country, you don't feel the UNICEF, you don't feel the United Nations. In a country like here, like Afghanistan, with huge poverty, especially outside the big cities, yes, it makes a difference. Like the child that you have a small backpack that you can carry their books and everything. And the school was probably also financed by the UNICEF. It's a difference from a child that can easily be radicalized or a child that has some education and can do something of his or her life. So in our opinion, it's a really well invested money. Those places look historical, but it's actually where people live. It's insane. Okay, super interesting. The road now is much better. As you can see, you don't have those big parts like kind of destroyed a little bit. Why? Because we just got into the region of the Hazara people. It's an ethnic group here. They're Shia, and they were supporting a little bit more the international coalition. And they were more or less against the Taliban, who was Sunni, the Pashtun. The Hazara people wouldn't keep fighting the coalition, so the roads are good. There were no IEDs here. The Pashtun era that supported the Taliban, because the Taliban is Pashtun, there were IEDs all over, exploding all the time, the roads to kill the coalition soldiers, and the roads were still terrible. It's incredible how much we learn when we travel. As I told you, I had the background, the geopolitical background and everything, like more bird's eye view of the situation, but these specific things about here, that was Pashtun, that's Hazara people, Sunni, Shia, against the coalition, support the coalition, more IDs, less IDs. It's incredible how much we learn. That's why we love so much to travel. We travel a lot, right? So we've been to a lot of countries with terrible, terrible roads. But this road here is much better to a lot of roads we've been.
Even better than a lot of ones in Brazil.
In Brazil, yeah. Why is that? This road was built or by the international coalition or with the support of the international coalition by the government at the time. So again, everyone who says the Americans and the international coalition wasted 20 years, all those trillions of dollars were completely wasted. Yes, there was a lot of waste, but not everything was wasted. There was a lot of good investment, and the country changed a lot, like completely changed from the year 2000 until the fall of Kabul. It was become way much better with a much better infrastructure.
This is the city of Kabul, the Afghan capital today.
Actually, the landscape here reminds us a little bit of Idaho.
A lot of Idaho.
A lot of Idaho, actually. So apparently all these mountains here, they have a lot of copper. The Chinese want to invest here, but the Taliban is a little bit suspicious, so they have like some border guards, like some guard posts there and there. So avoid people trying to do like research here or something. The relation with Chinese investment in Afghanistan right now, it's like it's happening, but it's still a little bit because you know the Chinese love to take a lot and not giving too much in return sometimes. So the TB is a little bit suspicious of that. Another fort on the top of there. Like this could be from the time of the Silk Road here, and now it's just there. Like any other place in the world, that would be a massive tourist attraction.
Now people just live there. They build their houses around there.
Yeah. Driving through the middle of the canyon here. Beautiful. Beautiful region. Red mountain here and like a little valley. We are close to Bamyan, where you have the Buddhas, or used to have, and then they have like support from the UNICEF. And welcome to the city of Bamyan. Right now we are right in front of the gate. It goes to the city to see the, or where it used to be.
The famous giant Buddha statues.
Exactly. Sorry, that was like a brain fart. And this is a very, very old fort, like probably more than 1,000 years. Pretty close to the entrance of the city of Bamyan. And those forts were literally from the time of the Silk Road. And if that was any other place around the world, it would be a major tourist attraction. Right, it's just here now.
But yeah, luckily we get to visit tomorrow. But
Hopefully, or today or tomorrow,
I
hopefully.
think we'll be the only ones there, maybe.
These blue complexes are schools, and to be honest, we've seen a lot of them. Probably because the UNICEF, the United Nations, international organizations here, they were investing a lot in education for children, for women, because usually didn't have. And on this way here, we saw a lot of them. They live in the caves over there. Amazing. And with a modern gas station. We arrived at the city of Bamyan.
Should be the main street.
Probably the main street here. Main street of Bamyan.
The whole city of Bamiyan.
This is the whole city, not
The whole
just
city.
The whole city, yeah. When we put the second.
That was the old town of Bamyan, and that's the new part of the town of Bamyan, the city of Bamyan. Perfect. Thank you so much. What's the name again?
It's probably palau, rouge palau.
Hush palau.
And this is China key.
Hush palau, which is essentially rice with meat, and
China key.
China key, which is probably lamb with chickpeas. We are not super foodies YouTubers, but yeah, we have to. That's the traditional one. Abandoned military base here. That used to be right in the center of Bamyan. The time the Soviet Union, that those cars.
Yeah.
So we are here in Bamyan. We're gonna see the Buddhas maybe today or tomorrow. I still don't know. And they have old rusty Soviet equipment. T-55 tank. It's crazy. Like they're still here. Like after so many years, the Soviets, they left in 1989. The war became so costly for them. The same thing for the Americans, that they left. They left the government in power, like supported by the Soviets. I think the government lasted 3 more years until eventually the Mujahideen with the Taliban, they were working together. They defeated the Soviet-supported government, and then all hell broke loose here in Afghanistan. This is a T-55. Wow. Let's explore a little bit more. There's a lot of stuff here. So another one here. And I think this is anti-aircraft artillery. I wasn't thinking I would see that. Another troop transport and anti-aircraft. And right over there, it's a Taliban checkpost. Wow. This is still turned up so many years, like almost 30, 40 years. Like good machinery.
Good quality.
Good quality.
Nice job, Soviet Union. Like a year? Year 6.
Maybe this was kind of a monument for that, because these were put here, the tracks. They were put there on purpose. So maybe this used to be like a monument for the defeat of the Soviets here. We already can see a little bit the Buddhas where it used to be. Tomorrow we're gonna be there, or today, I don't know yet. Solar panels are safe in this country. The last part of the road is a little bit rough. And we had a small flat tire issue here. while we were admiring this beautiful view. Yeah, here I don't think there's a road assistance. She's messing around. I'm trying to be like a serious. I don't think they have road assistance here in the middle of Afghanistan. Now come back here. Oh, she got shamed. Our trip, we've been seeing a bunch of abandoned structures like that. I already mentioned, but those are like old structures.
Yeah, like an archaeologist would love to get in there.
Can you imagine, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's not just like it's old.
Beautiful treasure for them, but it's like in the middle of nowhere here, and for 50 years there was no safety here to visit those places. Maybe now if they had an agreement with the Taliban. The water is very clear. Wow. There's not many people here, like almost no one, because it's end of the season.
It's cold.
It's kind of cold, and so not anyone's gonna swim, although usually just men can swim here, right? Not women. Those are the little paddle boats. Salam alaikum. And there's like a kind of a waterfall there. Can you see? This is natural. It's not an artificial dam, electricity or anything. And again, things are pretty organized here. You pay to get into the lake, the national park, and there's a ticket. It's like a receipt and everything. There's stuff. There is a way out from there, right? From the bottom. Okay. I'm gonna go backwards actually. I don't know.
No sabemos qué capítulo. It's pretty good. Good driving.
Good driving. Talk about the receipt. Some young Afghan kids like 20-something-year-olds, told us I could always ask for the receipt. Make sure that the store or the service, whatever, they're paying their taxes and they're not overcharging you. So that's interesting. I gotta say, not in many countries of the world, besides like super developed countries, this is normal. Let's say everyone tries to sell everything without receipt, without paying taxes. A lot of places. Talking to the guy at the gate, I don't know if he's TB or not. Mentioned I was from Brazil and everything, and then he gave us this. It's a nice hotel, really pretty, but maybe a little bit above our budget. So this is pretty cool. It's a women's market, so women can actually work in this market. You know, there's a lot of restrictions what they can do here, but here in this market close to the lake, the national park we are, it's fine. That's pretty good. Salam alaikum. Oh, so pretty. We don't have space to buy like anything, to carry anything. Still like traveling for a month. Salam alaikum. Hello. And the sign here says UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So the UN probably invests money here because the development program could be roads, bridges, power plants, hospitals, schools, but also entertainment for the population. So this is a national park and they invested here, and I'm all for it. Like, I'm fine paying more taxes in the United States, in Brazil, in Europe, and the money goes eventually to a place like that which has so little compared to where I come from or so many places I lived before. I lived in 12 different countries, and a lot of them were rich countries, so I can really tell the difference. When you were young, did you go on all the paddle boats like this one?
Adults can have fun too.
Adults can have fun too. Hi, for a picture? Nice. I had fun. I had in Brazil when I was a child. I did some little paddle boats. You can do it as an adult as well. So we were up there, the viewpoint. Let's see how cold the water is. Whew. Frio. It's cold. But you can see super clear. Wow. I can see really well down there. Beautiful. Should be nice during the hot weather. Hot weather. Yes? Yes or no? I'm telling you, the color of the water is beautiful. The only problem is a little bit of too much garbage over there. Taliban, if you're saying that, maybe do some cleaning here or ask people to do it. In some places, this is the best you can get for a bathroom. Something like that. There's no one here. And there's a hole on the floor. Sorry if I'm grossing out anyone, but we are lucky to have a bathroom, so I shouldn't complain. So yeah, in some places you have the toilet itself, in other places you just have to, you know, squash down. So prepare your flexibility a little bit. And this is like a cave, but you're gonna see so many caves tomorrow. Looks like they're burning stuff because it's all black here. Taking advantage of these beautiful waterfalls here, and with ice and everything. Another stereotype that was broken. Nikki thought like when we were in public that I couldn't touch her, I couldn't like literally touch her hand, touch her shoulder, nothing. And sometimes by mistake, you know, because we are used to, you know, touch each other, hug and everything, I would touch her shoulder and everything. She's like, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. And then we asked someone here, and he said, no, if you're together, like you can do that. There's no problem. You can hold her hand, maybe not giving a massive kiss and anything, you know, not even kissing at all. But it's okay if you are together. It's okay to touch the woman like with tenderness and everything. So that's our stereotype that we thought would be. Things are even more strict than we thought, and it's actually not in this specific case. One more thing here about the United Nations. Sorry, I don't work for the United Nations. I'm not getting paid by the United Nations, anything. But this is an example again in a place when you don't have the basic necessities, you don't have the basic public services, or your family doesn't provide you anything. But this tarp, kind of a tarp from the United Nations refugee agents, that's what they give for refugees who just fled a combat zone, a war zone, and they have nothing, right? They lost their house, they lost everything. So what, according to the Maslow pyramid of necessities, what the first thing you need? Shelter and food. So that tarp is gonna give you shelter, and the food, hopefully the United Nations is also gonna provide you. So again, that's the difference of a place when you don't have nothing. Billionaire is not gonna help with that. Like he or she can make any profit out of that. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or a billionaire in Brazil, they're not gonna help poor people who have refugees in Afghanistan because it's not transaction. They didn't make any profit of it. Needs to be an international organization, or an NGO or something that is gonna help people, the people the most, literally the most in need in the world. Think about the 8.2 billion people in the world. Those are some of the most in need. And they're gonna make it without getting ever a profit. The private sector can replace everything. Then it's publications at the local level, national level, regional level, international level that is gonna provide those public goods, let's say. Good job with you, man. Oh, now you can see really well how the lake is elevated. So weird, look like an artificial wall.
Yeah.
They really like to play volleyball in Afghanistan, besides cricket. And do you know how I know? Because I live in Boise, Idaho, which received a lot of Afghan refugees there. And I play beach volleyball, sand volleyball there. And the Afghans used to play a lot, and they're really good, much better than I am. So that's how I know, like they know how to play and they like to play volleyball. Nikki do céu.
That's fine. I was just...
Heavenly Nikki. So maybe I'm gonna follow her. And I don't know why I'm carrying your backpack, right, Nikki? Salam alaikum. So all of this in Mazar Sharif, it's super pretty. A bunch of people dancing on the square and having fun and everything. It's all forbidden now. Like definitely for women. Yeah, men can go to the squares, but we can just keep dancing and having fun and everything.
No more concerts.
Yeah, no concerts, no nothing. Just like talk about bad luck. Another flat tire here. The same trip, 2 hours after the previous one. This is Afghanistan during the Soviet occupation.
It was free like Moscow, our guide says.
Like you mean like communism, everything was free.
Yes, communism.
Yeah,
Student.
obviously. A lot of propaganda and everything. But
They took that much off.
yeah, women had a lot of more rights during that period. So during the Soviet invasion and during the American occupation. So we're driving now during the night here in Afghanistan, as you can see. Nothing there. So it's much safer than it used to be. When the Americans were here, not a chance you could drive during the night. So I'm saying it's safer doesn't mean it's better. But I let you decide what you think. What you can tell in terms of safety, things improved a lot. Trying to get a flight to Herat for 2 days, for next 2 days. Accept, please. Yes! We just got our ticket to Herat, which is considered the most progressive liberal city here in Afghanistan. We're gonna check it out this together in another video. These lights all work because of solar panels. So solar panels, you've seen so many here. They are saving Afghanistan because they really have a problem with access to electricity. You see, like we are in Bamyan now, the city, and most things are pitch black. There's nothing going on. So this is what we watch on TV in Afghanistan. Like there's a lot of Saudi TV. Let's look at together.
We finally found something in Afghanistan.
Voice of America, Afghanistan.
What?
What? Are they actually playing this in Afghanistan still? That's crazy.
I don't think this is something everyone has access
Yeah.
to.
Well, they have it here. Okay, this one looks like more Afghanistan. Probably Afghan TV.
I don't think so.
No?
I think it's Arabic.
Arabic?
That's Iranian. It's not Arabic.
Ah, that's Iranian. Yeah, so they have Iranian TV. We saw Saudi TV. Afghanistan International.
We're seeing very few Afghan channels.
Mm. Wow, TV Eritrea. That's not every day we watch something from Eritrea. All the very liberal democratic countries, right? Yeah, Tigray. Oh, Tigray TV. Yeah. Okay, this sounds like more like okay, watch some American TV here. Obviously, I don't think it's completely kosher. Iranian TV as well. I don't know. This seems like very much Afghanistan TV news. That's Afghanistan war when the Americans were here. So I'd like to know what they're talking about.
The 20-year occupation not only took the lives of the people of this region,
Okay.
but also left a lasting impact on their souls and minds. His name is Jumago. The invaders brutally wounded his 3 innocent brothers. Jumago describes this bitter memory of his life as follows.
So essentially it's the other side of the Afghan conflict when the international coalition was here, and probably has a dash of propaganda as well. So the most interesting one here is Voice of America, which is essentially a public broadcast from the United States government to the people of Afghanistan to give the news, Western news essentially, or news from the United States, give a little bit of the other side of the news, right? Because if you're from Afghanistan, you just have those Afghani channels or Saudi Arabia, Iranian, or anything. Yeah, but now it's not working apparently, maybe because Trump essentially shut down Voice of America, and they had Voice of America also for other countries, especially during the Cold War to the communist countries. That was essentially their only source of actual news. So it's a pity, I think, since Trump took office and Doge wanted to save monies, people in Afghanistan don't have access to a little bit more neutral news, let's say.
Which could reshape their entire mindset and avoid extremism.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're here in our hotel in Bamyan. You see it's pretty dark there. They try to save electricity. We have electricity inside the hotel, inside our room. But that's because whole Bamyan is not connected to the country grid. So it's completely independent. And most of the electricity comes from solar panels. Pretty cool, right? Also, they have generators, but mostly solar panels. So solar panels, besides being sustainable, it's something that you can do like off the grid really easily. And it's saving Bamyan and several places around Afghanistan, because you saw like in Kabul how many solar panels we've seen. So that's their way to have access to electricity in a country that has a chronic problem with access to energy, to electricity. For a lot of us, electricity is just like magic. for them, it's really something special. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.